Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Still with you on today's edition of Cairo Local Time. And today we'll also be discussing the Cairo International Book Fair with the Director General of the fair in its 54th edition. Islam Bayumi said the fair is witnessing a large number of visitors, with over 1 million people going and visiting the Cairo International Book Fair over the last 6 days. And average daily visits are from about 150 to 180,000 people. And of course, now the weekend is just around the corner. More and more visitors are expected to go. In this year's edition of the Cairo International Book Fair, Jordan is the guest of honor, and the late writer Salah Shaheen is the personality honored this year by the fair. Also, the children's writer Kamal Kilani is honored during the children's fair as a pioneer of children's literature. And we are also delighted to be joined by a writer who is taking part in this year's edition of the Cairo International Book Fair. We're delighted to be joined over the telephone by Mr. Hossam Qandill, the writer. A very good afternoon to you, Mr. Hossam.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Most welcome. It's also a pleasure being with you.
Thank you very much, sir. And of course, this year we are seeing more than 700 publishers as well as 3,000 artistic performances hosted across the many exhibitions, bringing, of course, something new to the fair, a very important, literary combination taking place in Egypt over the next 12 days or so. Mr. Hossam, tell me your impressions of this year's Cairo International Book Fair, not just as a participant, but as a writer yourself.
Yeah, I will start as a participant. I have to say that this year is a book fair for history. Since is a true record, the number of publishers, writers are also best record. And as a writer, I was impressed by the number of people visiting, and actually against all the expectations. People are buying books, people are reading books, and this is actually manifesting that we are still a reader country, and we are pioneers in such activity all over the globe.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, and this year, Mr. Hossam, there's also, a digital platform, new online access to the International Book Fair, also to cater maybe for the younger generations. How do you see this new edition?
Actually, this is a revolutionary step to enhancing the participation and contribution of all genders, generations, and groups, or age groups in such a great book fair. This maximized the participation, as I said, and maximize also and facilitate the access to every single information required to get a book, or no allocation of publisher or booth or anything. Mm-hmm. I think this is a very good step in easing the participation, and this was one of the main reasons that the number of participants is a great record, one of the best records all over the history of the International Book Fair.
Mm-hmm. And another very interesting feature this year is with the new app and the digital platform, giving a feature to include a VR video that is also presenting a story written by Professor Kamal Kilani, making it more accessible even for children and children's literature. How important do you see targeting children at a young age, whether through technology or new media, as well as the actual physical book as a form? How important is it to engage children in reading at such a young age, sir?
Actually, this is a very huge step in something that we are a bit late in supporting, which just encouraging little people and children to read, and encouraging them with the VR technique and VR tool is one of the most bright ideas of this year. Because when we are talking about infants and children, we are talking about those who are into visual more than into reading, or into even the oral things. So engaging them using this tool was a very bright idea, and actually this will build a very great database in the upcoming years for the book fair. Because when we are building a generation that loves to read, and with huge with such huge number of people, we are building a very good database for the future related to children and related to what the children are expecting and what attracts children to start their reading and gaining knowledge and sharing knowledge.
At a young age, indeed. Right. Mr. Hossam, now, how do you see the variety of the books at this year's International Book Fair? We have over 700 publishers and 3,000 artistic performances, lots of writers, lots of publishers, many different countries as well, and newcomers as well taking part in this year's edition of the International Book Fair. How important is this participation by such a diverse, group and community of people?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to repeat what I said related to the first question. It's a book for history, related to the diversity and the variety for everyone. And actually, this again, it got reflected in the numbers attending the book fair, and got reflected also in the number of sold books and the bestsellers. And actually, this is a good step to satisfy all the tastes and the direction into the community of reading and the community of culture.
Indeed. Right, Mr. Hossam, of course, some people actually wait, till the later days of the fair, because it's known that during the later days there's some more discounts on several publishers and books, and they offer, bigger discounts in the end. How do you see, the importance that people in Egypt here are placing still on the written, the written book, the hard copy book, even in light of some of the, economic challenges, different, pressures or challenges as a result of lots of global crises, but still people are keen to go and buy a book. How do you see this as the greatest means of escape and still a priority for many Egyptian readers?
Well, I will always state my opinion that the hard copy will always retain its charming and its attraction. Even with the huge number of platforms and e-reading facility and the e-reading tool, I think the Egyptians in specific and the Arab readers in general are into the hard copy. Despite the increasing prices and despite the issue we are all suffering related to the prices of the books, that hard copy will always retain their power and will always retain their attraction to people. Maybe the e-reading and the platforms will ease accessing more and more books and more libraries and more database, but it will never replace the hard copy. And what we are seeing now in the International Book Fair is a practical proof or a practical evidence that we will always call for hard copy now and forever.
Absolutely. Mr. Hossam, is this your first year to participate as a writer in the book fair?
No, it's the fourth time I'm participating with a novel this year.
Tell us a bit about your novel that you are participating with this year.
I'm participating with a novel called Worldwide Shop, عالم مغلق بالدفاع, with a great publisher here in the International Book Fair. And of course, I'm not going to mention the name of the publisher.
Yes.
And don't worry about that. And I'm participating to the fourth time. It's a novel related to psychodrama and philosophical things in a context of fiction. And I hope everyone who reads will like it. It's about diversity and dealing with different people and creating a community of different people and how they react together. And this is my fourth participation in this book fair. Two times with the short stories, with group short stories, and this is the second time with the novel last year and this year.
Mr. Hossam, as a writer and someone who has, your own books and novels and short stories, etc., how important do you see the International Book Fair as a great platform to really, get all writers out there? Exposure.
Actually, it's the most important platform and most important gathering of all the news of all the year to every writer to show his or her
talent.
And actually, of course, the product is reflecting talent. However, selling through libraries and selling through electronic, it is support the writers showing their products and marketing for their products. However, when it comes to book fair, Cairo International Book Fair and other book fairs in Egypt and all the Arab countries, these are the golden chance for every writer to show his or her
literary work,
and
yes.
reach more participants, reach more readers, and this actually would, if you have 1 million visitors
so far, over 1 million.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, exactly. No other platform can reach such numbers in physical and in one-to-one communication as any planned or future book.
Right. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Mr. Hossam Qandill, the writer and our guest on today's edition of Cairo Local Time. Thank you very much.